Hey, welcome back, listeners, to the Wrestling Show. This is the Raw Rundown for May 21st, 2018. It's good to be back. Obviously, if you've been checking out the show, you will have noticed that we missed a few things from the last 2 weeks, I think. Was planning to be a little bit more consistent, but then life happened, so I wasn't able to get episodes up last week at all and missed some the week before, but should be back on track here now. So let's get all caught up and see what we saw today, or talk about what we saw today on Raw. Again, May 21st, 2018. The opened up a show with Kurt Angle. He came out here talking about some matches, about Money in the Bank. So, you know what, he's about to talk about what he plans to do. He's going to sign, he's going to preside over the signing for Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey. But Stephanie McMahon comes out. She says, she forgives Kurt Angle about, for what happened at WrestleMania 34. And, she's going to do what's best for business, and she's going to be there to sign, to preside over the signing for Ronda Rousey versus Nia Jax. She even recognized the fact that she did tap out. She gave recognition to that when the fans started chanting, "You tapped out." Let's see here, and then Roman Reigns comes out. They keep trying to push on us that management doesn't like Roman Reigns. So Roman Reigns comes out here. He voices his opinion. He's not happy with the fact that I guess that he is not, going to be in the Money in the Bank. So Stephanie tells him he has too many chances. And, she doesn't like his tone lately. And then, Roman responds by saying, "Oh, well, you should watch your tone with me, because if you don't, then I'm going to go in the back and beat down every superstar in the backstage that you like." And then Kevin Owens comes out. Kevin Owens says that he's what Stephanie McMahon wants, because he's what's best for business. Kevin Owens admits, like he says, he admits what everybody else won't admit about Roman Reigns, and it's that they like him, because, people do like Roman Reigns, myself included in that. Let's see here. He tried to get a "thank you, Roman" chant going, but, to no avail. The fans weren't going for it. And, of course, he was doing that in tongue and cheek, of course. And then, he's talking about how he is what is best for business, and he rests his arm on Stephanie McMahon. She didn't really like that so much, and she's not happy with Roman Reigns either. So she says, "You know what? Let's go ahead. Let's make a match right now." And then so we get a match between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. And then this match itself was a decent match, and actually, it's a Roman Reigns fan, so fans are going to be 50-50 on it. At points they weren't liking it, and then points they were liking it. And actually, just when I thought it seemed like Roman Reigns was about to build and fans were really going to, start to get behind him, Jinder Mahal comes in and he interrupts the match, and he starts putting a beat down on Roman Reigns, of course. Then we cut to commercial break. I didn't like the way this was cut on TV, because we cut to commercial break, and then when we come back, we're having so actually right before commercial break, Seth Rollins comes down. He runs down to save Roman Reigns from getting a beating from Jinder Mahal and Kevin Owens, and so then it cuts to commercial break at the point where Seth Rollins gets Jinder Mahal and Kevin Owens out of the ring. But then when we come back from commercial break, we're in the middle of a tag team match that was apparently made during the commercial break by Kurt Angle. And so now we're having a Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns versus Jinder Mahal and Kevin Owens. And then, this was actually a really good match in itself as well. I thought, obviously Roman Reigns, being in there, they didn't do what you thought they might, where they were trying to get fans are always complaining that they're trying to get Roman Reigns over, and they didn't really do that here. If they were trying to do that, they would have kept giving Roman Reigns the hot tag, but actually, Roman Reigns was giving the hot tag to Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins was coming in and putting on, great performances like he has been doing for the last few months now. And overall, it was a really good match. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns ended up picking up the win here, but then that dirty no good Jinder Mahal attacks them with a chair after the match is over. So we got that. Next up, we finally got down to the segment where Sami Zayn brings out Bobby Lashley's sisters. I say that in air quotes, and they tell each one of them. Each one of Bobby Lashley's, in air quotes, sisters is actually, a man dressed up in a dress and a wig, and they're all, got some kind of silly story that they're telling, just to make fun of the stories that that Bobby Lashley did 2 weeks ago, and let's see here. Each of them is telling a story about how mean Bobby Lashley is. What else? They say that even their parents hated Bobby, and then Bobby Lashley enters and he comes and puts a beat down on everybody, and that was that. Nothing too exciting. I guess you got to see how strong Bobby Lashley is, but we already know that. It's building a feud between him and Sami Zayn. I wouldn't think that Sami Zayn would have much of a chance in that type of a match, but I'm kind of liking the story of it so far. Hopefully they'll keep building on that part of it. Next up after this, we had Ember Moon versus Alexa Bliss. Ember Moon got the win here. This was a really good match, I thought. Both performers did really good. In fact, might as well just say here, Raw itself was. The show overall was good. Again, the Eclipse, Ember Moon's finisher is phenomenal. That is a great finisher. I love the way that looks. But again, overall, the match itself was really good. It was a fun match to see. Both of the women are of similar height and size, so this one I actually believe when they fight each other. I wish that when Nia was, going against Alexa, that it would have been a crushing, but we can talk about that more in a second because that is actually brought up later. Next up, we had a little backstage thing where Finn Balor and Braun Strowman are backstage. They're looking for Kurt, but Stephanie McMahon has taken over Kurt Angle's office for the night, and they are saying that they want a rematch with Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. But Stephanie kind of reminds them, like, hey, you guys aren't really a tag team, so what's the point of doing that? So, how about we actually just make a match between the two of you? And, earlier in the segment, Stephanie McMahon showed that she had a fruit basket and offered fruit, and Braun Strowman took an apple. They both decided that, they wanted to have the match, and to intimidate Finn Balor, Braun Strowman crushed the apple in his hand. That was pretty cool to see. I'm sure it was a working apple that they had already kind of squashed it so it'd be easier to squish, but it was just showed how strong that Braun Strowman is, and made Finn Balor get a little bit scared. Let's see. Next up, we had No Way Jose versus Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin won. I can honestly say that I am so over Baron Corbin and No Way Jose that I wasn't even really paying attention during this match. So Baron Corbin got the win. I don't have much else to say about it. Let's see. Next up, we had Kurt Angle talking to Chad Gable in the back. And then, Kurt Angle's telling Chad, like, oh, I was actually going to give you another chance before Stephanie McMahon made me give Kevin Owens another chance. And then Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler come back, and then they start, having issues. And then so Kurt Angle decides to make a match, be later in the night. He didn't really announce it, but it ended up being Dolph Ziggler versus Chad Gable. And then, so after this, we actually had the B team versus Breezango here, and the B team got their second win. So now, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, ever since they made the switch to being the B team, they are now undefeated, 2-0. So man, they are hot fire. And actually for this match, I mean, they did a good performance, but then after the match, I really enjoyed watching Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel celebrate. They got on like one of the chairs from the announce table, and they like rolled down the ramp and like crashed on the floor. Like they were having a really good, fun time celebrating him. I think that was really fun to watch. It was very entertaining. Just reminded you how fun wrestling is supposed to be. It's an entertainment show, and it was very entertaining just to watch them. Be so excited, like they can't believe that they're actually on a 2-match winning streak. So it was entertaining and fun. Next up, we had the Ronda versus Nia Jax at Money in the Bank contract signing. During this segment, Stephanie McMahon is trying to put a wedge between Ronda and Nia, of course, and get them really fired up with each other. Neither of them are really saying much, but ends up working the end because Stephanie brings up like, oh, you know what, Ronda, the reason why Nia wants to challenge you is because she knows that you're used to having to fight within a weight division, but there's no weight divisions here. So Nia is a lot bigger and stronger than you. And she knows that you've never had a singles match, so you're going to be easy pickings for her. And she knows if you lose, that you've never taken kindly to losing. Obviously, they're making a UFC reference there. And so if you lose, you're probably gonna like tuck your tail and run away. And so Nia Jax will be seen as the baddest woman on the planet instead of you at that point. And then, they kind of see through it at first, what Stephanie's trying to do, but it ends up getting under their skins and it works. Stephanie brings up the fact that she says to Nia that Ronda, thinks that she can beat you because you're lazy. Obviously making, a weight reference here. And then of course so now, Nia has been dealing with this for a little while now because of Alexa Bliss. In that feud, and that was actually brought up during this, like, Stephanie was like, if how are you going to be able to beat Ronda if you can even handle, Alexa Bliss, who is a third your size and smaller than Ronda even, and it took you forever to beat her. Ronda thinks she's going to be able to beat you, and the reason why it took you so long to beat Alexa is because you're lazy. And then, of course, this is what actually sets them off, and they actually start to get in each other's face, and they have they both sign the contract. They have a nice little stare down here. Ronda tells Nia that, she's going to take the title and her arm, insinuating she's going to get her in her arm bar there. I thought this was really well done. Everybody involved did good. I thought Ronda really shined on the mic as well. Like, I thought she did really good, ever since the beginning, there's been always some, criticism of her on mic performance, but I think she did really well tonight. So that was really good to see. And I'm excited to see that match. I know, again, we missed last week's episode, so we didn't really talk about it. So when it was just announced, the fact that Ronda was going to have a match with Nia Jax, a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, it's too soon. But for me, I'm really excited about it. I think, and then at the time it was announced, it was still a long way away. So Ronda and Nia have plenty of time to work out their match with each other and get it all rehearsed and, worked out on what they want to do so that they can both put on a good match. Remember, as green as Ronda Rousey is, since she's never had a singles match, Nia Jax isn't the most, veteran wrestler either. So I think they'll both be able to, compete with each other and, put on a good show. And both of them are going to, this match is going to raise both their stocks in my eyes. And I'm excited to see it. After this, we had Chad Gable versus Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler got the win here. Both of these guys are very good technical performers, so you get to see a good match. and Dolph Ziggler got the win. Let's see here. We had a qualifying match for the women's Money in the Bank match next. It was Natalia versus Dana Brooke versus Liv Morgan versus Sarah Logan, and Natalia got the win here. It kind of makes me wonder. So we know Natalia is going to be in the Money in the Bank match now. People have been speculating maybe the reason why Ronda would get a push for a title now if she wins at Money in the Bank. Maybe Natalia, maybe she would win the Money in the Bank match. Then she would, turn on her heelness and take the title from Ronda. Take advantage of the fact that Ronda sees her as a friend, and then steal the title from her when Ronda isn't expecting it. So that is something that to think about in the months ahead as we head into Money in the Bank. Next up, we had a really fun match, I thought, between Elias and Bobby Roode. This match was really good. Both performers did really good performance in the match. They've had a few matches lately that a few of them were kind of dead and not the greatest, but I thought both performers did really good in this match. They both looked really strong. This match was really entertaining. So I thought they put on a really good show. Elias ended up getting the win, but I think the main thing here is that both guys, again, were starting, they had reached a peak and they were starting to go back down the other side again, but I think after this match, they're, right back, and past the point where they were before, especially Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode really needed a match where he looked strong to get people on his side again, because they had, the fans had started to, quiet down a little bit more during his matches, but they were excited for this one. And then next up, we had our match between Braun Strowman and Finn Balor. I thought this was an excellent match. Really good performances. Finn Balor, even though he's a lot smaller than Braun, because he is such a good performer, he is the type of guy that I would believe, okay, he would, give Braun Strowman a run for his money, and he does in this match. A lot of good, maneuvers during this match, and good in-ring storytelling. Finn Balor going for the legs of Braun Strowman, trying to, cut the man down. It wasn't just random moves that Finn Balor was trying, like he was actually going for a strategy, so that made it more believable as well. In the end, Braun Strowman got the win. He, of course, always looks strong during the match. What I noticed during this match, too, is that he was very vocal during this match. He was, yelling a lot in the match, during his guttural grunt that he does, or yell. And then he, was talking a lot of trash to Finn. So that was some, a little bit something more added to his character, I thought. And then, at the end, it looked like maybe Braun Strowman was going to pick Finn Balor back up and start doing some more power slams, but he ended up picking him up, putting him in the corner, and showed some signs of respect there. So that was really good as well. I don't really want to see Braun Strowman like turn full heel for no reason. I think he's one of those guys that you should be, he should be a tweener, not really a babyface, not really a heel. He's that guy who can destroy anybody just because he's so big and strong. He can, but if he goes out of his way to beat an opponent like who's already a babyface like Finn Balor, that would probably start to bring his stock down. So I'm glad he didn't go all the way there and do that, because then he would start becoming more of a heel, and I don't want him to do that. I want him to be an in-between guy who is just, kick butt enough that it doesn't matter who he faces, whether they're a good guy or whether he's a bad guy, just like, Stone Cold back in the day said. I think, it's good for him to just stay neutral and no need to go the extra mile and give beatdowns on baby faces. But yeah, guys, that was the end of the show. Actually, that was the Raw Rundown. Sorry that we missed out on last week and some the week before. So getting back on track here. I have a lot of catching up to do later this week as well. I'll get all caught up on NXT and 205 Live on a weekly episode of that. I'll cover everything else that I missed just in a quick rundown, for each week. We'll do a SmackDown rundown here soon. the after SmackDown is over. And then later this week, Andrea and I will do our regular episode together and get everything back on track and keep going. I was feeling a little bit bad that we had gotten off schedule here, but I listened to one of my favorite wrestling podcasts earlier this week, and they've actually been going for over a year now. And they missed some last week. There's been so much wrestling lately. It's it's tough to cover, but yeah, again, one of my favorite wrestling podcasts out there. I don't want to mention them here because we're talking about how we by not purposely, but we accidentally missed some time and on episodes, and they did the same thing, and they've been going 4 times as long as we have, and they're a lot more popular than we are. So I feel like, oh, okay, if the big guys are doing it, for the small guy to do it, maybe it's not as bad as I thought, but we'll get back on track here. But thank you guys for tuning in the show, and we'll catch you tomorrow for the SmackDown rundown. Until then, see you later, guys. Bye.